Crossed. Good evening and welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. New details emerging now after a federal court ordered the release of more emails from Clinton's private server. These are documents recovered by the FBI that Mrs. Clinton may have tried to destroy. And they are just the latest drip in what's becoming a steady stream of troubling messages between Hillary Clinton's family charity and her State Department staffers, who appear to be very cozy. The messages lend credence to the notion that there are wealthy donors who paid top dollars for favors from America's top diplomat, while ordinary Americans were left to fend for themselves if they wanted access. Even Mrs. Clinton seems to admit this doesn't look good.
My work as Secretary of State was not influenced by any outside forces. I made policy decisions based on what I thought was right. I know there's a lot of smoke and there's no fire.
In moments, we'll speak with former Justice Department lawyer Shannon Coffin, who says there are potential violations here of at least 3 federal laws. But first, we go to Trace Gallagher at our breaking news desk with the details from these new messages. Trace?
And Megyn, if you're connecting dots, this latest round of emails appears to draw a bold line directly between the Clinton Foundation and Hillary Clinton's inner circle while she was Secretary of State. The emails were given to ABC News by the conservative group Citizens United. In one exchange from 2010, top Clinton Foundation official Doug Band and Hillary Clinton's closest aide, Huma Abedin, talk about special seating for an upcoming State Department lunch with Chinese President Hu Jintao. Doug Band even names names, including the president of UBS Wealth Management, Bob McCann, Western Union CEO Hikmet Ersek, and Rockefeller Foundation President Dr. Judith Rodin. A later email specifically requested that Rodin be seated at Vice President Joe Biden's table, to which Huma Abedin responded, quote, "I'll ask." For the record, UBS had given the Clinton Foundation between $500,000 and $1 million, Western Union between $1 and $5 million, the Rockefeller Foundation between $10 and $25 million. When asked about the Clinton Foundation trying to get prime seats to a lunch for a foreign dignitary, the State Department said it, quote, does not believe it is inappropriate. The Clinton campaign called Citizens United a right-wing group trying to make something out of nothing. And on ABC's This Week, the interim chair of the Democratic National Committee, Donna Brazile, seemed to acknowledge that giving big donors access is just part of the process. Watch.
This notion that somehow or another, someone who is a supporter, someone who's a donor, somebody who's an activist saying, I want access, I want to come into a room and I want to meet people, we often criminalize behavior that is normal, and I don't see what the smoke is.
Again, the smoke comment. The State Department says it cannot provide a list of who did and did not attend the lunch with the Chinese president. Megyn.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now, Shannon Coffin, former Justice Department Assistant Deputy Attorney General under President George W. Bush, and a former Chief Legal Counsel to Vice President Dick Cheney. Shannon, good to see you. So, I mean, Donna Brazile, you got to hand it to her on the honesty front. You know, I like Donna Brazile, but it's not going to fly with the American people to say, look, everyone is bought off. You know, like, your donors give you lots of money, so they get access the American people don't get, and they get invited to the State Department and get to rub elbows with power and set themselves up for future success in a way regular Americans don't. That's just a system we have to live with. You say it's actually not that simple. It actually might be criminal.
Well, look, their claim is there's only smoke, but lots of people die from smoke inhalation. So smoke is a problem here. And in addition to what Trace discussed, we saw emails last week that the Crown Prince of Bahrain was going through the Clinton Foundation in order to get a meeting with Hillary Clinton at the State Department, when normal channels had prevented him from doing so, and the same channel. It was
and this again, you see it very clearly. Here, Trace just took us through it, where you got the guy from the Clinton Foundation, Doug Band, specifically sending the people he wants to see at this luncheon, for the China State luncheon, and gives 3 names, and then he asks about this one person in particular, saying, can we get her at Biden's table? And Hillary writes back, I'll ask. I mean, this is, It's obvious. This is what Trump has been trying to tap into, saying she's bought and paid for. She owes so many favors to so many people who have donated to her foundation that you can never get an honest judgment from her because it's all about repaying the people who paid her. You say it actually may be criminal. Why would you go that far?
Look, there's a back door here that normal citizens don't have. If you make a contribution to the Clinton Foundation, you're more likely to get access to Hillary Clinton at the State Department. And there are at least 3 different categories of federal laws which may be implicated. One, the Ethics in Government Act, which says you can't use a public office for private gain for yourself or even for a charity. The law says specifically a charity that you're associated with. So in giving special access to the donors for the Clinton Foundation, the Ethics in Government Act is implicated.
Well, but let me ask you that. So the charity gains, but how does Hillary gain? If you're talking about a private gain, how does she gain?
But that's not what the law requires. It doesn't require that money go into Hillary's pocket. It could be enough that her husband gets speaking engagements.
Which happened.
It could be enough. Which happened. It could be enough that the foundation with her name on it gets more money.
All right, the second one that you're focused on, potential law here, is the bribery, the anti-bribery laws. How could that be violated?
Well, look, this is the hardest group of statutes to prove. You have to have a quid pro quo. You have to, and we've seen in a recent case involving the former governor of Virginia that just setting up, say, sitting someone at a luncheon may not be enough to violate those statutes. But I will tell you this. The federal government, if the shoe were on the other foot here, and a U.S. Company were giving money to a foreign charity that was associated with the foreign secretary, the Polish Secretary of State, the U.S. government will prosecute that. The U.S. government will prosecute